It is Titan versus Titan. BlackRock and Blackstone could soon be in a battle for the same business. The companies are said to be diversifying their investments, touching on what one another does best. Bloomberg Bureau Chief Jason Kelly wrote the story in this month's Bloomberg Markets magazine, focusing on rivalries. Jason, welcome. So take us back through the history of the two blacks.
So the history of these two firms is that back in the late 80s, when Blackstone was first getting started, he met a guy, Steve Schwarzman met a guy named Larry Fink, who was a very successful mortgage trader at First Boston. Fink left his job there. Schwarzman said, come work with me. They made beautiful music together for a few years. Then they had what each has described as a fairly bitter corporate divorce. And BlackRock and Larry Fink went on its way. And over the subsequent 20 years or so, these firms really existed in parallel and became the dominant firms in their respective industries.
But respective industries, it wasn't like they were doing the same thing. Blackstone's competition was KKR. BlackRock's competition is Fidelity.
That's exactly right. And when we were thinking about this rivalry issue and sort of what we could say that was new and different, we did think about Blackstone versus KKR or KKR versus Carlyle or something like that. The interesting thing in private equity, as both of you know, is that Blackstone has really put a lot of distance between them and their traditional, as it were, alternative rivals. What has happened is that as they've gotten bigger and bigger, they're looking at new pools of money, especially retail investors.
Now, you look at this chart here, and you can see that BlackRock, as far as total assets under management, just destroys Blackstone.
It's not even close.
Yeah, 4.8 trillion to 310 billion, but something you pointed out to us, which is not on this chart, is that Blackstone actually makes more money in profit.
That's exactly right. So on the same basis, about $1 billion more per year. And so when you look at how investors are valuing this, you saw that huge difference in terms of total assets under management. But when you look at market cap, they're only about $10 or $11 billion apart. So these are firms that actually are competing not just for some money from institutional and retail investors, but even in the public sphere as well, as companies start to, or as investors try to assess who they're going to invest in.
Well, and before I so rudely interrupted you, you were explaining that they're starting to go after the same clients.
Well, that's exactly right.
Same investors.
The same investors and the limited partners, as it were, and also the retail investors. So Blackstone is seeing the 401k market. They're seeing lots of different things going on in terms of individual investors. At the same time, BlackRock is looking at those profit margins that we talked about and saying, let's get in deeper to infrastructure investing. They have an alternatives business, which has more than $100 billion.
But that's not that easy to do. Just to say Blackstone, they seem to make a lot of money doing that. You can't just put a new shingle outside and say, I'm going to do that too.
Well, that's exactly right. And it's a hard business to get into for sure. There's a guy over at BlackRock running it.
Combination name if they ever got together.
If they ever got together again, that's true.
Sorry, there's a guy
at BlackRock who used to work at Blackstone, Matthew Botine, who is running that alternatives business. They are hiring into that business. They're looking at that as a very profitable
Okay, you know what my takeaway is?
Tell me.
Maybe a rivalry, but I'm pretty sure both are doing pretty well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Jason Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Bloomberg's New York Bureau Chief. I'm talking about the big dog. He's here. You can read the full article on BlackRock and Blackstone in the latest issue of Bloomberg Markets. Be sure to check it out maybe this weekend when you're on the beach.